Oh, we're live. Hi, everybody. Hello to everybody who's out there and connected to us in the cyber worlds. My name's Eric Weinberg. I'm a meditation instructor here at Columbus KTC. And I'm happy that I get to be here this morning with all of you and give this Dharma Talk. So thank you for coming. Today's a special day. It's the 5th anniversary of the parinirvana of the founder of this center and a very, very great Lama named Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche. There's a couple of pictures of him up on the shrine. And so at the end of this is how this will go today. I'm going to give a little talk. I won't be able to tell you everything there is to tell you about Mandala, but that'll be the subject. So this will be continued next month when I give the next talk. Hopefully, though, what'll happen is that you'll get a good foundation for practice. And certainly Mandala practice, but any practice, really. I think this will be helpful. This is kind of like building from the ground up. I started this series of talks, I don't know, 10 months ago maybe, when Lama Tobden was visiting, and he gave a wonderful transmission on the lineage prayer. And within that are wonderful meditation instructions. So I decided, well, maybe it's a good idea to actually dig into this a little bit. Part of the problem with organized religion, whether it's Tibetan Buddhism or Zen or any of the forms of Christianity or Judaism or Islam, any of them, is that we have these prayer books. We have Bibles and sutras and Qurans and all that stuff, and they're the words of really, really extraordinary beings in there. And then those got heard and written down, and then they got translated and so on and so forth. And the essence of the original insights that they wanted to pass on to us are actually in there. So it's, in my opinion, really wrong to just discount those. But the other side of it is, it's a little bit like getting a box of freeze-dried soup. You know, you read some maybe words even in a foreign language you don't understand, and it's all your reason for doing that is you're coming to it with a sense of longing, a sense of deep desire to connect with something maybe you have had a glimpse of that is this good, very alive feeling that everything and every, at least human, I'm still not at the level where I can talk to animals yet, but certainly every human catches glimpses of that, you know, and it's just a pure happiness that kind of comes out of nowhere, right? And these really enlightened individuals they want to share some kind of pathway so that everyone can feel that happiness. It's that simple. But after years, thousands of years, it does get a little distilled. And when we just read the words, sometimes we want to get that feeling, but we don't get the feeling. Y'all have had that experience. I know I have. And so what we need to bring to our practice is the warmth and the flow, or the water, the moisture that is going to make that soup edible and nourishing and really enriching, maybe even rich. And as we went through from the lineage practice through refuge and bodhicitta and the Kayas and the Buddha families, and I've just been trying to go at things in the order you might find them in a traditional Buddhist liturgy. So the next thing that we might encounter if you've been following along through that process is usually there's a mandala offering. And the mandala, short mandala, there are all kinds. There are short ones, medium ones, and really long mandala offerings. There are even some pujas that have many mandalas within them. They're very detailed and extremely involved. But I just want to give you the flavor by reading you the prayer for the short mandala offering. And then we'll do our refuge prayer. We'll chant it together. I'll give a little bit of talk. The plan is that I'm going to do a little guided meditation. This is the important part. My words, I'm just flapping my gums. I apologize. I'm just trying to give context. But hopefully you'll have this experience that I'm talking about of this longing and this warmth and this flow, and be able to use that along with the guidance of something like this prayer to bring about another step on your path towards full enlightenment, because that is the object of the exercise here. That's what we're all about. And then at the very end, Lamo Kathy Jackson is going to come in and do a couple special prayers in honor of, and also more important than in honor of, but to help us engender the extraordinary qualities that our teacher and founder, Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, had. So she'll show up, like 20 after or something like that, and I'll hand this off to her. Hopefully, we'll be in a really good state mentally to really engender those qualities because we will have done this meditation. That's the plan. That's what I hope. So here's the short mandala offering, just as an introduction, in English, because I'm pretty sure there are probably no Tibetan speakers here, including me. So it says, the golden foundation of the earth, strewn with flowers, adorned by Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. By dedicating and offering these, focused on the pure lands of the Buddhas, may all beings arrive in the pure realms. So each of us are part of all beings, by the way. Sometimes we forget that. We're praying for ourselves and everyone, every living thing, to be able to wake up to their fundamental goodness, their own sacred truth. That's what's going on. And then there's a mantra, as there often is, untranslated. It's from Sanskrit. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryataya Mi. So you might pick up a few words in there like Guru, Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, Karmapa, Dalai Lama, the historical Buddhas. And mandala is what we're talking about, this golden foundation that we sit in the middle of, strewn with goodness. Things we'll walk out, and something will make us smile, and that smile's important. We'll get to that. So that is where we're going here. Through the normal traditional liturgies, first we arrive, and by arriving I mean we sit, and we use, calm abiding practice, shamatha practice, to feel our, oh, wow, I'm not distracted, I'm present, I'm here, And then we proceed through the practices that we do, whichever practices they are, and ultimately we come to a place where we feel reconnected, where we might have felt disconnected. And once we're reconnected, the important move, this is like teaching a wide receiver, it's football season. The important move, in order to make it up the sideline and get open. That's what we're trying to do, make this important move. Once you feel this feeling, the important move is not to grasp and say, oh, this feels good, I'm going to hold on to this one, I'm always going to remember this moment. Well, maybe you will, maybe you won't. You get to my age and you probably won't. And so the important move is to realize that you've been touched in a profound and lovely way. And instead of grasping it and holding it, you open your hand and you offer it. That's why we do mandala practice at this point in the liturgies that we do. So I thought I would explain a little bit about how that works and how to hold yourself on the inside so that the words aren't just freeze-dried soup, but the thing comes to life. That's what I hope. But before we do that, let's start with the refuge prayer. And what I'd like to do is to chant it 2 times in Tibetan and then say it together 1 time in English. The 3 times, and it's good to keep this in mind, is threes relate to a lot of things in Buddhism. But one of the things it relates to is this sense of that there's an outer world. And that's all of you for me, and that's me for all of you, and all our surroundings and all of that. And then an inner world where we have this kind of feeling. And it could be a good feeling, it could be a bad feeling, whatever we're feeling in the moment, it's okay. As Mingyur Rinpoche says his father told him, be authentic. Whatever you're feeling, bring it and offer it. The Buddhists don't know the difference between dirt and gold. Okay? That's a whole other Dharma talk for another time. It's interesting, though. So the idea is okay, be authentic with all that you're seeing and experiencing both outside and inside. And then the third repetition is, so there's outer, inner, and then the third one is secret. That's what they call it, secret, okay, top secret. And why is it secret? Well, it's secret because it's pure experience of openness and light, and there really aren't words. Since there aren't words, it's secret, but you can experience it. And so during the third time, just sink into feeling just open, and let the words that you're reciting be kind of like the light in that openness. It's like the openness in this room is extraordinary. This particular design, I was on the board here when this came about, and Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche had a whole lot of input. Dude was a feng shui master, by the way, and also a geomancy master. In Tibet, in traditional Khenpo schools, you learn a lot of interesting things. And I remember the board arguing about how we were going to make this ceiling. The idea we had on the board wasn't this. Khenpo Karthar said, no, it's this. He even got a little cross with us about that. And man, I'm glad he insisted, because the feeling in here is so spacious. So there's all this space, and guess what? It's full of light. We can see each other. We can see all the stuff, right? But you can't really separate the light from the space, right? You just can't. They're mixed inseparably. That's the way our minds are. So in the third repetition of the refuge prayer, just feel the spaciousness of your own mind and let the words of the prayer be the light that fills it inseparably. Sanje chudong soki chok nam la, jang chu pardu dak ni kyab suchi, dak i jin so gi pe sonam ki, drola pinshir sanje rupar sho. Sanje chudang soki chok nam la, jang chu pardu dak ni kyab suchi, dak i jin so ki pe sonam ki, drola pinshir sanje rupar sho. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the assembly most excellent, I take refuge until I reach enlightenment. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I achieve enlightenment for the sake of all beings. Thank you. So, Buddha's main teaching, the core of what we call the Four Noble Truths, is that grasping is the cause of suffering. In other words, grasping is the great obstacle to our happiness. It's that simple. And if you contemplate that for a moment, you might ask yourself, do I have a reason to be happy? Ask yourself, do you have a reason to be happy? I don't know. Yeah. And what's the most important thing to that happiness to your life right now? You can think about that. What's the most important reason? I got news for you. If you have a reason, you might have a problem. This is the trick. You know that move I was telling you about, that letting go? There it is. If you have a reason, you might have a problem, because that would indicate that your happiness is dependent on outer conditions. It could be your family makes you happy. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Or the taste of wonderful food can make you happy. Wonderful. You might have a nice car, a big bank account, or maybe, you were able to do some really good thing. Build a house for somebody like Jimmy Carter. And that's all good. But you have to understand, from the point of view of the path of enlightenment, those are conditional things, those are impermanent things. They're going to fall apart. Everything falls apart. All things. So the source of your happiness, in some sense, can't be that. At least not a stable happiness that can support you on this path of many changes and a lot of evolution. You need something more intimate, something that's even closer to you than your own family. You do. All day long, it's natural for a human to think, oh, if only I had this or that, I could be happy, you know? Or if only I could get rid of this or that. Maybe you're not feeling well today or something. If I could get rid of that, I would be happy. I would say that's not happiness, that's a comfort. It's good to be comfortable. Believe me, I like it. But, it's important to discern the difference between a comfort and happiness. Okay? So, what makes us happy? Well, it's just life. When you sit down on your meditation cushion and you begin shamatha, and you sit up straight, and you just feel your body before you do anything. Before you rush to go follow your breath or do something like that, just sit and feel. And what Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche used to teach is that when you just sit and feel your aliveness, no matter what the conditions are in your life, no matter what, you feel this, what he called a harmonious surprise. Harmonious surprise. In Sanskrit, that livingness, that living energy is called chitta. Aliveness, chitta. You have it. You have it from the moment you're born. You have it now. You have it even though the thing that's ticking on my wrist, it isn't the clock that's ticking. It's my life that's ticking away, right? That's what Buddha taught, impermanence. So why do we grasp this stuff so hard that's just, it comes and goes in our life? It's wrong to think, oh, I can't have that, I can't enjoy that. That's not the point. Enjoy it. You have taste buds, enjoy taste. You have all kinds of sensitivity in your sense of smell. Enjoy beautiful smells, and so on, and so on, and so on. But it's really important to understand that we can offer all of that. And we should offer all of that because the first move, if you will, my wide receiver friends, the first move is generosity. It's this, that's the first move, okay? And we can be generous in so many ways. And that's what Mandala practice is about. It's about a formal way, a liturgy for gathering this golden earth that's strewn with flowers and all the wonderfulness and offering it. Why? Because the Buddha needs it? No, not because the Buddha needs it. They say often the Buddhas are pleased when you make offerings. Well, that's kind of probably just one of those freeze-dried things. Get a translation gets messed up. They're pleased because they see you going through the gate from grasping and suffering to happiness. Just like when we see someone we love begin to take steps toward their own happiness, are we pleased? Oh yeah, we're thrilled. That brings us happiness. This is the kind of attitude that we're trying to engender in Mandala practice. And all the details of Mandala practice, and there are a lot, and next time we'll go through some of them and how they relate to this. All of them have this particular foundation, though. And so, at the risk of being repetitive, that's what I really, really, really want to emphasize this morning. It turns out that grasping our happiness, which is what we tend to do, actually builds obstructions to our happiness. Sharing what it is that we have actually kind of builds a pathway to where we want to go. And the reason the Buddha taught Dharma in the first place was to introduce us to this like unconditional happiness. That was the reason. Buddha sat there, and when he awakened, it was a little like this. I know the formal text, the Four Noble Truths and all that, and you probably all have read it a lot. It wasn't just that life contains suffering, and there's a cause of suffering, and that's good news because therefore there's a solution, and the solution is this path. That's the traditional thing. It's like, everyone wants to be happy, nobody's happy. I think I understand there's a cause for this disconnect, right? This is the kind of attitude we have to have. And because there's a cause, we can do some work. And his great generosity to us is this Eightfold Noble Path, which we call Dharma, Buddha Dharma, okay? The whole object of the exercise is, may you be happy. May you be free. May you be so free that you can rejoice in the good fortune of others. And may you be at peace, not worrying about pushing something away or getting something, but just at peace with things, with life as it comes and goes. That was his wish. And so that's why he taught this path. And it's important, I think, to understand that. So you're alive right now. Good news. Each year, this is a depressing part, sorry. Each year on this planet, let alone, I don't know how many worlds are out there, but there are probably more. But on this planet, each year, 250 million people die of natural causes, let alone the other ones. And you're alive. That's good news. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, here's the first Mandala practice. This is the first one. And this is the most important one in a way. You wake up and you say, oh, I'm alive. And you smile. And you smile to yourself. You just, there's a Theravadan teacher I like that says the first thing you do when you sit to meditate is smile. And he calls it smiling down. In other words, you smile to yourself. You smile to the hair on your head if you have any. You smile to your eyes, your nose, your tongue, your ears, your lungs working nicely, your heart, so on and so forth, and just smile. It's the first thing we can offer is our appreciation, our happiness for all these things that are working so well, okay? And that's a mandala offering to our own outer mandala, which is, in fact, our body and all the things that we sense with our body. You know, our five senses bring us everything. You probably really don't know anything that doesn't come to you through, well, six senses, you know, what you see, what you smell, what you taste, what you hear, what you feel. and then consciousness itself, what you think. So all of that, we can smile. And I want to tell you that that's the first offering. Every time you sit down to meditate, probably that advice from that monk that I heard once is pretty good advice. First thing you probably should do is just smile. Smile. You guys, do this right now and see, just quietly, and see how that feels. Physiologists tell us that just the act of smiling, even that slight little Buddha smile with the little curl in the corners, it actually releases all kinds of neurochemistry in there. I have a psychologist nodding her head right now. And that's an important offering to your life. This is where we find Buddha. Buddha's not, maybe Buddha's out there. I don't know. I'm not like at that level where I see things, you know. But I know Buddha's in here, and I know it's in each of you. And so the first thing we're doing is we're offering this sense of goodness that has nothing to do with our attachments. We're offering that to the living presence of the sacred truth that's already part of us, without question. As we meditate, that's what we're doing. We're making offerings to that sacred truth. And as we meditate more and get down the path more and eventually maybe become like Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, we reveal that sacred truth to others in a way that benefits them. And then we're offering our mandala more broadly, you see? It's all the work that we do within. It isn't going to come like, it's not like we offer a mandala and the Buddhas are pleased, and then we get a nice spiritual pat on the head or something like that. Okay. So that's the first thing. So that's citta. Then we talk about bodhicitta. You've all heard that term, right? And we all have this idea of what that word means. But citta is this livingness, this energy, and bodhi means awakened. Oh, so by smiling to it and recognizing it, this is how simple this is. So intimate and close to us that we miss it. It's so simple that we miss it. That's one of the main teachings of the Mahamudra tradition. The reason we don't get it is it's too close and it's too simple. And it's too unbelievably good, and so we just go chasing out after something that's much more difficult. That's what His Eminence Tai Situ taught me. He said, no, it's so close, so intimate, and so good. It's so simple, you just won't believe it. You wouldn't believe it when I tell you how good this is, boy. That's what I'm telling you. And I'm not talking about lox and bagel, although that's a condition that I enjoy very much. So, anyway, this bodhi, this awakening comes with actually training our minds to do this, letting go. But we are very tangled up with our preferences, you know. We have what we don't want mostly, and we don't have what we do want mostly. So we're running after this and trying to get away from that. It's very tangled up. Psychology is very complicated. So just me saying these nice words about a smile, it may actually help, or it might not quite be powerful enough. in order to untangle these knots. We need a little therapy. And that's what Buddha gave us in the Dharma, is like a little way of working with ourselves. And what awakening means is just uncovering your sacred truth. That's it. So, Mingyur Rinpoche says, with Mandala practice, the emphasis rests on purifying the mind of fixed, limited, fabricated identities. And the prime element that helps us accomplish this goal is the activity of imagination. So interesting. So we're going to use the mind, or at least this power the mind has to imagine things. We're going to use the mind to untangle the mind. That's another one of those incredible things about being with a good coach in the receiver room in practice. So these practices, this Mandala practice in particular, is particularly about working with your mind, and it's particularly about working with your imagination. Some practices, your imagination gets fired up and you've got to recognize it and let it go and rest, right? This is different. We're going to engender our imaginations, but we're going to direct them, guide them. And that's what that liturgy is all about. So the first thing we do is we're going to just come to the point where we flash on, or we experience a little bit of this citta, this simple living energy, right? And then we're going to use that living energy and direct it through this guided meditation of making offerings in order to develop the strength we need to let go, to not grasp when there's something we want, or let go and not push away when there's something we don't want. But we work with it in a different way. So, with that introduction, I just want to lead a little guided meditation. And then when that's over, I thought I saw Lamo back there. Did she come in? I'm not sure. But with that, and at the end of that, we'll do a little practice specifically to honor Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche. So this meditation kind of comes in three parts. And the first one I actually learned from my rabbi, Zalman Schechter Shalomi, who was, he was a Vajrayana Jew. He was really extraordinary. And he said this, so you just sit up straight and close your eyes. And you imagine that point in your head, where the fontanelle is, right kind of in the front, just above your forehead where the sutures come together, just that little point. And then imagine that point back in the back of your head, at the top of your neck where the occipital bone is, that part that bumps out. And imagine a line between the fontanelle and the occipital bone. Then imagine another line that goes from one temple to the other. And where they cross, right in the middle, just bring all your awareness right there. So you can move away from the front of your face. Interesting, right? Just move away from the front of your face and let your awareness be right at that point. It's amazing. It's a very small point, but it feels so open. Kind of infinitely open. And let that openness drop into your heart. How does that feel? Can you feel the longing? The devotion you have for spacious, luminous spaciousness? It's that devotion to enlightenment, that longing, that's the warmth and the juice that will bring the sacred words to life. So just feel that for a moment. It will also bring something genuine and heartfelt to the moments of your life. And then let it rise back up to that point in your head. And open your eyes and look out of your eyes with that love and that longing for genuine goodness. And smile a little bit. Our main practice at this center, and most centers actually, is a practice called Chenrezig. Chenrezig, translated from the Tibetan, means loving eyes. And this is what it means: to gaze at the life that you're leading with loving eyes. So then we turn to our breath. And I want you to breathe in all the way meaning a deep breath, and I want you to really feel it inside. You know, all that oxygen that your breath carries to your body, that actually touches you at the cellular level. Feel yourself being nourished in literally every cell of your body. Feel it. Feel the livingness that you're filled with, no matter what the conditions of your life are. You're alive. And smile to that breath. And as you breathe out, follow your breath as far as it'll go. I mean, what you breathe out literally could be feeding trees, ginkgo trees in Japan, right? With the simple act of breathing, you're making a tremendous offering to all the plants in the world. And follow your breath there. And then, of course, they make an offering to you. because they breathe in what you've offered, and you breathe in what they are breathing out. And it gives you this life in your body. And just be with that exchange for a minute. Breathe all the way in. And all the way out. You see, you literally are offering this whole golden world with each breath. And your citta, your light, your livingness, receives the offering of the whole world with each breath. And when you realize this, that you're connected, that's bodhi, that's waking up. So of course, you'll engender all the best qualities, generosity and ethics and patience, and rejoicing in the good fortune of others. Of course, you'll stay in meditative absorption or mindful awareness. And this is wisdom. And that's a way that we offer an entire mandala. Without even doing the formal practice yet. Believe me, you can, once you do this a little bit, you can just flash on it in a minute. At any time during your day, or before you do formal practice. And you'll be connected, it'll be juicy and delicious and nourishing. Lastly, I want to point out and guide you in a meditation that expands consciousness beyond its habitual propensity to name and judge everything. Because naming and judging are grasping. They're grasping. They bring about, what we want and what we don't want, and then all the tangled psychology that follows. So imagine with all this warmth you're feeling, that you're touching the ocean. And because you touch that ocean, which has a name, you know which ocean it is, water begins to transform into water vapor, and it rises into the sky. I want you to notice that once this happens, once the ocean of existence is touched by the warmth of your love and turns into this atmosphere, it no longer has a name. It's like the Pacific Ocean becomes sky. Just sky. And when it gets up high enough and cools down a little bit, it turns into clouds. Still no name, just clouds appearing and disappearing. And eventually, when those clouds get heavy enough and cool enough, maybe they give us snow in the mountains. Just snow, no particular name, just snow. And the snow sits on the mountain peaks until the sun, until the warmth begins to melt it a little bit. And it becomes white water, becomes rushing streams and creeks. Still without a name or a label. And they flow down the mountain and meet rivers. And these rivers are big enough that we begin to name them. Maybe the Scioto River or the Ohio River, the Mississippi River, and back into the ocean. In that whole cycle, there are only a few glimpses of things that we actually put names on. Most of it is this extraordinary exchange. And it's all connected. You know it's all connected. I don't have to prove it or open a science book. You all know this already. Well, the energy of your life is just like this. And all the outer things of our lives, well, they're the outer mandala. And as we bring our warmth and goodness to that, and we open the palms of our hands and offer it, things are free to unfold and evolve. And it makes us happy. And that happiness becomes our inner mandala, our smile, our loving eyes, which are also an offering. And resting with that feeling, just the pure feeling, without even naming it anything. That's our inner or secret offering. So, that's the end of that guided meditation. And believe it or not, Rinpoche must be blessing me. I'm right on time, which is a very unusual thing. So, Lama's here, and I've got them all warmed up.
Morning, everyone. You're so serene right now. I'm sorry if I'm missing my bag.
Oh no, they need to be able to hear you, dear. I need to be able to hear you. I'm old and deaf.
Well, we're all getting there.
I know, right?
So
Today commemorates the 5th year of the passing of the founder of the center and many of our teachers. Even though he's no longer in his body, his blessings is still here and his instructions are still alive with many of us. And in the Tibetan tradition or the Himalayan Buddhism tradition, we often do certain prayers on that day. And I found Lama Kathy and I discussed this because she's out of town right now. She apologizes for not being here. So there's a beautiful prayer called Calling to the Guru from Afar, or piercing one's heart with devotion. But the thing is so long, and we don't have that timeline. So I made something that's one page, kind of an excerpt of that in another prayer. And at the same time, I'm going to turn on my iPad, so we're going to hear the monks in our one of Trungpa Rinpoche's monasteries, who were doing the same prayers after Trungpa Rinpoche died. He and our teacher were like brothers, even though they weren't biologically. So I'll be right back. I'm going to hand this out. You could say something about Rinpoche. Sort of correct? Wow, that was beginner's luck. It's really cool quality. Eric and I have traveled many times to the monastery, and Eric's grandfather was a famous Jewish rabbi, and Eric would put me to sleep in the car with his stories, but I always woke up, and right in the middle, I'd always remember where we were in the story. So we have some real karma traveling.
Well, these people all experienced that already this morning.
That's why they were so darn relaxed. I don't know, do we have a picture oh, we do have a picture of Khenpo Rinpoche. He was kind of sick in that picture when he had a lot of gallbladder stuff.
You want me to bring it?
No. So why don't we just spend a moment and just look at this prayer. You could just say it with me in Tibetan, and then we'll say it in English, because I don't want you to say something you don't know what you're saying. And by the way, this is all optional. If you need to go to the bathroom or if this is too boring, I'm not offended at all. So it starts out, Lama Rinpoche la Sowa Deb, and you can join me if you want. Dagsin lo yi ton war jinji lo, yu me yu la che war jinji lo, chumen nam tok gampar jinji lo, rang san ke me topar jinji lo, tupa rang shar shiwar jinji lo, nang sin shuko towar jinji lo. This is one of the two main mantras you do during Ngundo for Guru Yoga. And in English together, I supplicate the precious Guru, bless me to give up clinging to ego. Bless me to realize everything is futile. Bless me to stop having non-dharmic thoughts. Bless me to realize that my mind is unborn. Bless me that confusion naturally subsides. Bless me to realize everything is Dharmakaya, meaning everything is awakening. So when we do this, and when you hear the monks saying this, we're going to be just repeating this many times over. And it's a very special tune when it's calling the Guru from afar is kind of a blanket term for these type of prayers after a teacher has passed, or if you miss your teacher. You know, in ancient times, it would take months maybe to travel to see your teacher. They didn't have jets back then in Tibet. So often this is a prayer that some people do once a month for all their teachers, not just their one teacher. And then the second prayer is actually from that text, calling the Lama from afar. And it's where everybody's voice is really, it's kind of a keening sound. So it begins, Sowa Depso Lama Rinpoche, Dungwe Bundu Drinchen Chukije, Kame Dala Resa Kyule Me, Tuki Yerme Jepar Jinji Lo. And in English, we supplicate you, precious Lama, kind one, Lord of Dharma. We call out to you from our longing hearts. For us unworthy ones, who are the only you are the only hope. Bless us that our minds blend together with yours. So now let me turn this on. And the tune is very specific. It should be a little heart-wrenching. And you'll hear some really high voices, because this is a monastery filled with old and young monks. So the young monks really add an interesting dimension, I thought. I love it when they sing. You know when they're there. So, sorry, let me get it up here. Turn this up a little bit more. And we're gonna try and oversing them. And let's see, it's on 36. Okay, get ready, any second. Jordan so deb dasilo yitonwa jinjilo you make you la chewa jinjilo chumenam tokamba jinjilo ransake me toba jinjilo Tubaran Shan Shiwa Jinjilo Nasi Chukutopa Jinjilo Lama Rinpoche La Soade Datsi Lo Yitonwa Jinjilo You make you la chewa Jinjilo Shumenam Tokamba Jinjilo Ransange Me Toba Jinjilo Chubaran Sashiwa Jinjilo Nansi Chukotoba Jinjilo Lama Rinpoche La Soade Datsi Lo Yidongwa Jinjilo You make you la che war Jinjilo Jumenam Tokamba Jinjilo Ransenge Me Toba Jinjilo Chubaran San Shiva Jinjilo Nasi Chukotoba Jinjilo Lama Rinpoche La Soade Nasi Lo Yitonwa Jinjilo You make you la chewa jinjilo Chumenam Tokamba jinjilo Ransenge Me Topa jinjilo Tubaran Sanchi Wa jinjilo Nansi Chukotopa Jinjilo Lama Rinpoche La Soade Datsi Lo Yitonwa Jinjilo You make you la chewa Jinjilo Shumen
nam to hambar jin jilo dancing me to ba jin jilo Chubaran sa shiwa jin jilo Nazi chuko topa jin jilo Lama Rinpoche la so de Dazi lo ye dongwa jin ji lo No di yu na jewa jin ji lo Jin yin yu ho dongwa jin ji lo Lansam ke me to bar jin jilo to baran san chi wa jin jilo nan sin chu ko to ba jin jilo lama rinpoche la so de Dazi lo ye tomo jin jilo yume gyula jewa jin jilo jume nanto gomba jin jilo ransengi me topa jin jilo Chubaran sa shiwa jin jilo Nansi chuko topa jin jilo Lama rinpoche aso ade Nasi lo yi tongwa jin jilo Yume gyula jewa jin jilo Shume nanto kanba jin jilo Ransing ye me topa jin jilo Tubaran san chiwa jin jilo Nanjin chuko topa jin jilo. The next one's much shorter. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you. Oh, wa, de, so, rainbow.
So thank you, everyone, for sharing that with us. We appreciate it. And I'm sorry, I should have warned you, we were kind of repeating some things. But not many people got to do these prayers, so you're very fortunate. So thank you so much. And if you're ever interested, you can always go online to Trangu Media. They have a great deal of calling to the Lama from afar, and they have all the captions there, so you don't need to look up the text or anything. It's all there. It's really lovely. Do you have anything to say?
No.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
That was fun. Thank you. Are you going home right now? Are you going home right now?